Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you, coming to you with a little weekend edition here because the Jon Jones fight is tonight and I have been getting bombarded with people asking me to please tell them what I think about the situation going on. Is it true? Is it not? Is he using steroids now? Is he not? Etc. I mean, it's all over the place. And also, I'm a big MMA guy. It's no secret. I'm a big boxing guy. Always have been. Always been into both. And, you know, I have a lot of close friends that are MMA fighters and boxers as well. So this is something that I take a lot of intrigue in anyway, and I will be watching the fights tonight. But I see so many people that don't know what they're talking about, making comments and making, you know, these irrational comments about things that they clearly just don't know anything about and making assumptions. Now, that's just what people do, especially nowadays, far worse than they did before. The job of the media, we all know that. So let me give you a little explanation first on like steroid half-lives, detection times, and then what's really going on here. So all drugs have a half-life, okay? So if you take 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram of decadurabolin, which has a half-life of 6 days, once a week for 10 weeks, you will know when you will be off the steroid through the half-life. All right, so this means that 6 days from the last dose of Deca, you will still have 500 milligrams of it in your system. Another 6 days, which is 12 days from the last dose, you're going to have 250 milligrams of the steroid in your system. And the amount will keep having itself every 15 days until it's totally gone. So what this means is that even if you've already finished your cycle of it, you're still going to have some amounts in your body. All right? So therefore, you've got to know the half-life of the drug you're taking so you can plan your cycles, especially if you're undergoing a steroid detection test. Now, half-life should not be confused with active life. A common mistake many people make is confusing these. Active life is the period when the body still has enough amount of the drug to produce the desired changes to inhibit normal bodily functioning. All right, so the active life of Deca, for example, is 14 to 16 days. This means that it's still going to be giving you significant gains in lean mass 14 to 16 days after you've taken the last dose. Half-life refers to the time it's going to take for the drug to be reduced to exactly 1/2 of its amount. So as I mentioned earlier, the half-life of Deca is 15 days. So it's going to remain active in your system and can still be detected 18 months from your last dose. Now, this is important for several reasons. It's to help you understand how long something, you know, is actively working in your system, right? So, T-ball, Turinabol, oral Turinabol, which Jon Jones has been in question about using, has a half-life of only 16 hours, you know, and then the detection time is, how do I say, controversial, all right? Because there's a lot of people out there that claim that it only has a 6-week detection time, while there's several other people out there that say 11 to 12 months, which is, I mean, that's just beyond a significant gap, right? But what we were talking about there, Deca having a 15-day half-life, and then me explaining to you how long it's still working in your system, where T-ball only has 16 hours. So what am I getting at with this? Let's just say, and I'm going to get into this after I explain this. Let's just say that Jon Jones was using it recently, all right? With the 16-hour half-life and what was actually detected in his test, there is going to be no positive effect for him right now whatsoever in terms of him having some sort of advantage. Now, I realize, listen, I'm just explaining this to you, so don't give me that, well, it's illegal, it's legal. I know it's illegal. I'm very aware it's illegal. I'm just simply explaining what's, you know, what the probability of that actually having an effect on his performance is going to have, which is 0. All right. But let's just skip that. That doesn't mean anything. Let's go beyond that. Let's say the detection time is only 6 weeks. Let's just say that, which would indicate that he was using it more recently, right? Here's the issue with that. The testing, all right? The testing now has gotten to be so much more stringent, and it's so different than it used to be, all right? Even just a year ago, all right, steroid testing was nowhere near as effective as it is now. There's been refinements in drug testing that have actually improved the ability to detect anti-doping violations, resulting in increased numbers of reported violations over recent years. All right, more specifically in the last year. So for example, the discovery of long-term steroid metabolites has lengthened the drug detection window, making it far, far, far more difficult for any athlete to pass drug tests simply by discontinuing steroid use prior to an event. And also, more sensitive technologies have allowed detections of lower metabolite thresholds, as you just saw with Jon Jones. And I see people talking about microdosing and this and that. Look, he's not microdosing. All right, I'm not even going to get into that. That is absolutely stupid, ridiculous, absurd. He's not microdosing. All right. And I'm not some like big Jon Jones fan here. I do enjoy watching him fight. I mean, most people do. There's a lot of things about him I don't really care for, but he's entertaining. But I'm not sitting here trying to stick up for him because I have some kind of love for him or know him or whatever. I have no interest whatsoever in this, but I am going to bring you some facts here. I have the, I guess privilege or whatever, or just with what I do here online of dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands of people throughout the year. And what I've seen this year, I've never seen before in people that have come to me saying that they've been busted on detection times on something that just doesn't sound probable. I've actually encountered somebody with a Turinabol positive test a few months ago after 18 months of use. 18 months on something that's only supposed to be detectable in the 2-month range, if that. A lot of times only 6 weeks. Okay, I've seen equipoise positive results after 12, 14 months. Granted, it's a longer ester, but still, that's still a lot longer than it's supposed to be detected, where it's only supposed to be detected 5 months. The only thing that's really supposed to have a really super long detection time that is more prevalent or prudent is DECA. All right. So, does it appear that Jon Jones is using anything? The answer is flat out no. I would give you a 99.9% chance he's not still using anything, and I only leave that 0.1% chance open because there's always a possibility that something on paper could be wrong, but 99.9% is pretty much confirmed he's not using anything. All right, for what was detected, that is all possible now. This was not, these arguments that I hear now, if you came to me a year ago and told me about this, I'd be like, well, maybe, maybe not. But right now, no, he's not using anything. And he hasn't been using anything for some time. And to even expound on that, there are a lot of ignorant people that use things out there that have no clue what they're doing, or even worse, have far worse advisors and so-called, I don't even want to call them coaches, because they're not coaches, because they don't know what they're doing when it comes to, injecting their clients or advising their clients or whatever they're doing. It's ridiculous. But there are people out there that don't have a clue what they're doing and giving bad advice. T-ball doesn't even make sense to be the drug of choice here, to be all honest, but whatever, it's still a steroid, it's still performance enhancing, so be it. I'm not even going to get into that, because T-ball was used by Germans and all that backstory. I'm not going to get into that either. For an MMA fight, I would go with something more aggressive, like a Halo or something like that. But regardless, it's neither here nor there. That doesn't even matter. The point is this. There's so many people out there making claims and comments that don't know what they're talking about. And it's bad. It's a bad look. People that don't even realize what T-ball is making comments about it. People that have no clue about steroid detection times, half-lives, nothing like this. You just see reporters making comments, other fighters making comments, saying, oh, he cheated again, he did this, he did that. No, he didn't. Did he before? Probably, yeah. Another thing to note, there are so many tainted supplements on the market today. Just like I saw the Clemson players that got in trouble for using Ostrin. And, I never know. You never know how good of actors they are. But I'm a pretty good read on people. And when I saw the Clemson interview and I saw his reaction to testing positive, and I could see the shock. You know how many supplements out there have put SARMs in their supplements to market, to sell them off, to get rid of their powders or whatever they're stuck with. There's a lot. There's a lot. So it's highly possible that happened, and it's highly possible that other people have done it too. John Jones' character is in high question, so I don't want to put that like I'm saying that. I just want you to know that in other circumstances it's possible, and it's possible for anybody. Point being is this. Everybody's asked me what my thoughts are and what the facts are, and the facts are this. He is almost 100% not using anything at this point. I think he was in the past. I really do. And I think we all pretty much come to that conclusion. And I'm not saying that everything he's done in the past is okay, because it's not. I just think what's happening now is unfair. And what I try to do, regardless of my personal feeling towards another individual or towards another compound or whatever, I always try to stay neutral in terms of giving you facts, because I see too many people that have biases one way or another really swaying their arguments, and it's a bad look. It just loses all credibility. You know, you see me make videos about Anavar, and I hate Anavar, but I'm always fair and give you the real facts on it. You know, things like that. So in this circumstance, you have to be fair. Regardless of whether you love John Jones and you're like, oh, that's impossible, you have no facts, or you hate John Jones and you're like, he did this and that and have no facts. The facts are the facts, and the facts say that if you know what you're talking about and you follow this, which I clearly have to do every single day to be able to teach you guys everything, and I deal with individuals every day, the facts say with the amount of what was found and the way and the testing methods that are out there now, that he's not using anything. And people that say, well, this, and this, let me remind you something. Every single day in the human life, there's somebody out there working on making something better, all right? Because people will always bring up this, well, we didn't have this before, we didn't have that before. Well, guess what? We didn't have cell phones before. We didn't have internet before. You know what I'm saying? Like, these arguments that people make. If that was the case and nothing changed, then we probably would be riding around on horseback, okay, with no cars. We wouldn't have cell phones. We wouldn't have TVs. I mean, that is what we call evolution of technology, of things, etc. All right? Things change. Things evolve. That's what we do. We work to improve every day. How do people come up with different methods, different technologies? You know, I mean, we're talking to Alexa now and telling her what to do and dim our lights and things like that, okay? You weren't doing that 10 years ago, all right? I mean, I remember when I first got a color cell phone, like in 2001 or whatever. There wasn't even that. I mean, when I was in high school, I was blessed to just have a cell phone because barely anybody had one. Everybody had pagers or nothing. So just think about that. Things change. That's what happens in life. The testing methods right now have gotten so strict and stringent. And another thing, when I see people saying, oh, well, he paid off USADA and WADA. Look, that is the stupidest and worst argument I've ever heard. That right there, those guys are like the IRS. There's no penetration. You have the most strict and ridiculously thorough, you know, groups out there. They're on par with the IRS when it comes to protecting the integrity of competition. Just like the IRS wants your money no matter what. USADA and WADA, they will do anything at any cost to make sure that nothing illegal is going on. That argument is the worst. Criticizing them, I can't stand these organizations for what they do. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that because they keep things clean, but they're just unfair. So to even bring that up and say that is just ignorant. It shows a complete lack of knowledge and understanding about how things work. So that's that with the whole situation. I really wanted to put this out there because I know everybody's asking for this and wants the explanation. So that being said, www.icearms.com/forums. You can also find me on the Evolutionary Forum as well as the Elite Fitness Forum. Dylan.icearms.com is where you can get me with all questions and comments. So that being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.